Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome everybody out. Tonight our wellness topic is childhood regression, using energy balancing and essential oils. And yeah, so here's Jade Baldwin, our energy balancing coach.
This is something I'm very passionate about. We are just going to give you a little taste of what I teach in energy healing, just so you guys can to know how to help yourself. But of course, I go into greater details in the course. So this is step 8 for our energy balancing course. And it's all about going back into our childhood and learning what it is that, the root of some of our problems, okay? Because sometimes we don't understand why we do certain things. Sometimes we don't understand why we self-sabotage. And this helps us become more self-aware. And then when we're self-aware, we can easily choose to change. It's that easy. We have to just make a conscious choice and to cancel all those false beliefs and then move on. And that's just how we do it. So in this technique, we acknowledge the child within, we address the child within, and then we appreciate the lessons that child has taught us, okay, or the situation has taught us. All right. Do we have any questions or comments? Just go ahead and call out, guys, okay? Austin, are you still with us?
Yep, still with you.
Okay. Let us know if you want to volunteer for this. Okay.
Yes, I'll volunteer.
Okay. So we'll do it in a minute, okay? And you see what we do. So with this, we muscle test. Do we need to do a childhood regression for this person? And if it's a yes, then we check whether the issue is prior to conception to birth, or from birth to 10, or from 11 to 20, around that time. A lot of our ideas and a lot of our beliefs are created in our childhood. The first time you experience loss, the first time you experience sadness or pain or whatever, then you create your own philosophies about it. And then your whole life, you set a tone for it. Okay. So, let's see. All right, so why is this important? So this is important so that you can discover the roots of your false belief and self-sabotaging behaviors. That means addictions, that means self-abuse in any way. So it could be stopping yourself from having more income, or stopping yourself from creating good relationships with people. Those are the behaviors that we're talking about. It helps you to fully forgive and move forward with confidence and courage. So I've met some people that have had abuse. Their father have abused them, or their mothers have abused them. Sometimes when we present the oil, a frankincense oil or myrrh oil, they say, I can't smell it. Or it doesn't smell nice to me. I hate frankincense, ew. And when we talk about their father, for example, if we're taking frankincense, they say, no, I've forgiven my father. No, it's gone. It's just passed. I'm good. But if that oil still smells, what does it mean, guys?
Not done.
Not done. We're not done yet. There's still some residual. Okay, so this way we thoroughly clean house. Okay, so I have a lot of people say, hey, I can't smell myrrh. They're sniffing it and dumping it out of the bottle. I just really can't smell it. It's not very strong. And I thought, oh. And then when they do actually smell it, it's like, yeah, it's a little bit moldy. But well, there's some things there then that we still need to resolve. It's you who can tell yourself if you're fully, completely healed from it, okay? You need to do that because it's an important thing to do to move forward. If we don't resolve this, it's going to be very hard to move forward. Right, and the childhood regression helps you see the hand of God in your life. So here you are, maybe as a child, feeling alone or lost or hurt, and that no one was around, and you're very lonely. But now when we look back, we actually see that God was there with us. And this helps us heal, okay? So, yeah. Anyways, my friend, she was abused by her uncle when she was 4. And, she was so bitter about it for the longest time. And we worked on this. And she said, I just can't see why God would let this happen to me. And then we looked back, and actually, before anything went further, there was a knock at the door, really, at her house, and it saved her. And so all she was seeing when she looked back in the past was how it happened, almost happened or whatever. And now when we look back, she started crying because she said, wait, there was somebody at the door, and her uncle didn't go through with it. And now she could see that God was there for her. And it's awesome. And sometimes we see that you've been protected in some way, shape or form, okay? And then when you've resolved this, you will find that there is a clear purpose for your existence, okay? So somehow you've got some sort of purpose in your life that you didn't realize was there. So this is why it's important. Okay, anyone want to say anything, add anything to this? Okay, it's a pretty important step. Okay.
Can you detect stuff that's already been resolved, or just unresolved stuff?
Yeah, it can. If the things have been resolved, when we test it, we'll see if we need to resolve anything else. If not, then it won't come up.
Yeah, cool.
Yep, it's all satisfied.
Don't worry, these.
Mm-hmm. So I'll give you some examples. So pretend that, sometimes people are born preemie, right? So there's one lady, she was born preemie, and it means she wasn't finished growing in the womb, okay? I can't imagine how teeny tiny a little baby who was born must feel, but so that set the tone for her life. Look at that. The feet is just the size of the thumb, so tiny. Anyways, she had a hard time finishing school, and when she barely did, she had a hard time finishing college, and she had a hard time holding down a job, and she had a hard time with her marriage, and eventually her marriage ended. And she wasn't able to, do stuff because she wasn't able to finish. So with the childhood regression technique, through hypnotherapy, they discovered that her theme, her belief, was that she doesn't finish. Isn't that interesting?
Mm.
Until she decided that she can finish, and that was perfect. It was meant to be. So all her life she felt small and weak and sickly and not equal to people. So can you see that sometimes when we discover the root, where it came from, that we could choose to be equal? Okay.
Mm.
Okay. So sometimes you can be born early or whatever, that not have a problem at all, because it's how your family sees it. They'll say, hey, you came at the perfect time, right? And that's perfect. And you feel like, hey, I did well. I came at the right time. But if people say, hey, you came before we were expecting you, it was all a big drama, whatever the emotion is at the time. So I know with Debbie Gordon, she taught me a long time ago that how you were born is very important. It sets the tone for your life. So of course we have the opposite. He's a very overdue baby. So, we have the opposite problem sometimes. Somebody might feel like, hey, they're too slow, or they feel left behind because they're late all the time, whatever it is. Okay, so I don't want to get into too much detail here, but that's another example or people that have had vanished twins. You know, they have a hard time collaborating. They feel lonely. They feel lost, and they feel overwhelmed. So we have to just go back to that time and resolve things with them. There's a lot of parents that have children that have parents that are divorced. Sometimes resolving it with the child, it's fine. Sometimes the children, they don't get adequate resolution, and they stay at that age. So several times, one guy in particular, the wife complains to me sometimes about him, and she said that he's very immature. He's like a 12-year-old kid some days. And when I helped him, I said, what happened at 12? And he said his parents divorced when he was 12. And he was the oldest son. And he felt like he had to step up and be the father of the home. And can you imagine like a 12-year-old taking on that role? So he never kind of got to be a kid after that, you see? And some days it feels difficult because he never had that time to relax and be carefree. So going back in time and having him close his eyes and then talk to his 12-year-old self and tell his 12-year-old self, hey, you can let go now. You know, you have a family, you're a big boy, a big man, and but today you can play. Today you have no responsibilities. You can rest, okay? And that's powerful. And a lot of people, they just break down and cry because it's so relieving. They've held on for so long. And sometimes you don't realize, you don't know the details sometimes because you've blocked it out. So when my friend said something about you, 2 years old Jade, not being able to breathe, I didn't even think back that far to realize, you know, that I wasn't breathing. And then she said, just retell your story. And I told her that I had to be quiet because otherwise we'll be shot when we escaped. And I was hiding in the boat. And she said, stop. What were you doing? How did you keep quiet? And I said, I held my breath. And she said, bingo. And she said, go back to that 2-year-old self and tell her she can breathe. And as soon as I said that, it just took over me. And I cried and cried and cried. And I thought, wow, I never even thought about that 2-year-old girl until now. But my cells knew and my cells remembered. All right. And that was such a relief. It was just so weird to go back there and to start crying again. Okay. Just like that 2-year-old kid. Isn't that interesting? You guys have any questions or comments? Okay. So sometimes when, you know, I have lots of different emotions that the children might be feeling at the time. If you have parents that are divorced, they might feel like they're a burden to the world. So as an adult, they're always apologetic.
They might feel like it's their fault.
Yep, they might feel like it's their fault all the time. They might feel unstable and confused because both parents have separate and different values and teachings and rules. So they might be one way one day and another way another day. And people might say, hey, you're so double standard. What's happening? Why are you like this? Well, because sometimes if there's still a child inside, they're still confused, aren't they? So if we consciously comb through our thoughts and then make decisions, say this is who I am, you know, or I decide to let go of this, or, you know, cancel that thought, you will be very clear-minded afterwards. Okay. Any questions or comments? Is this helpful?
Very much so.
Okay. Traumas or abuse. We grow up to abuse ourselves, feeling not worthy. Phobias, develop addictions too. So that's why people, when you say, hey, you know, these oils will help you with this and that. I mean, it may help with emotion, but if you want to really get in there, get down to the root, and you know, with childhood technique, the childhood regression technique, we go back to that child and we comfort that child. And then, if that child needs to bathe or needs to be hugged, or needs to be rocked, we do what that child needs, and then we feel that resolution. Okay. Sometimes when we've had abuse, people have a hard time sleeping. They've always, watched their back, so they never allow themselves to fully rest, and they never rest deeply.
The last one to go to sleep in the home, first one to wake up.
Yeah. So we give them oils to help them sleep, right? But if you get an opportunity, you want to help them do some childhood regression. You can't do it wrong. Just go back there, talk to that child, and then resolve a few things until you get to the point where you are grateful. You're grateful for the experience and the learning. Okay, you can't just, say, you're fine, this is great. You don't feel that way anymore. You have to get to the point where they see, okay, somehow in the universe, this fits into this grand scheme of things. Now I have this heart, this connection to people that have been abused, that have had trauma or whatever. I really get you, I get them. And now it's set a tone for my mission, my life calling, okay, to help heal those people and shine the love of God onto them. Okay, does that make sense, guys? Yep. All right, so other things like death. Sometimes kids don't understand death, and some adults, we forget to explain it to them. All right, and we don't talk about it. As adults, we're grieving ourselves, and sometimes we forget to just sit there and explain things to the children in a way that they would understand. So, my twins, their friend died, and she was in the second grade. So one day, the school called me up and she said Maddie had a tummy ache. And Madison and Genevieve are my twins. And so I picked up Maddie and I said, hey, what's up? And she said, my tummy hurts. And I thought, okay, let's see. And I muscle tested. Nope, she doesn't need digestion. She doesn't need any of the tummy oils. She needed an oil for grieving. And I thought, what's happening? And she said, her friend died. Mary, and I thought that was her imaginary friend, because they have imaginary friends all the time. And everyone dies in their imagination. So it was kind of silly, but this is a real person. And she said in the school holidays, she went in the hospital and she didn't come back. And I thought, oh boy, what happened to Genevieve? Where's Genevieve? Because I know that Genevieve might be hurting too, because they're twins. And then when I picked up Genevieve, I said to the teacher, I said, Madison has a tummy ache because she's grieving. And the teacher's like, oh, kids are like that. They just make a big fuss. And I knew that she wasn't making a big fuss, because kids, they're not that dramatic. They're silly, but they're not dramatic. So I said to Genevieve, how are you today? And she said, my tummy hurts. And I said, are you okay? She said, yeah, I'm fine. But I was scared to tell the teacher my tummy hurts. And I said, okay, we're going to go home and fix this. And because I'm their mom, I didn't want to get too involved. So I had a friend work on my children. So they're lying on the massage table, and my friend started asking them questions. Where do you think your friend went? And just kind of resolved it. And they're both just chatting at the same time. And it was good, because after that, it was a relief, right? And they resolved it right there. But, sometimes if we're too busy to pause and consider these children, it could come back to them years later. It could come back that, they don't know if something disappears or someone, it just, I just felt like, wow, it was good to, I just felt God saying, stop, fix this problem now. So it's good to be able to do that for them. Okay, we used a lot of oils, and we talked about it quite a bit, and talked about heaven and things. So that's a very important thing to recognize. Because if we don't, it could create lots of spiritual blindness. People don't see things beyond what's here today. It could help make them feel like they have a lack of control. So it can be very controlling, and then cause a lot of regrets, whatever it is they feel. Okay, and talks about the impermanence of things. And that leads me to the next thing here about object. Pardon?
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Object impermanence. This is interesting because it comes up a lot in children, and as adults, we don't realize how powerful. Sometimes if you can't see it, it's not there, it doesn't exist. So when kids are scared, for example, if there's a fire, a lot of kids will close their eyes and hide in the closet, and that's a bad thing. It's because if they don't see it, it's not there, right? So what we want to teach people is sometimes when things disappear, they lose, an object or whatever, that it could be somewhere else, or, we have to explain to them that toys break, things need to be thrown out, all those things, because when they have an attachment to objects or people, it can cause, like I said, spiritual blindness, feeling of lack of control. So if you're going to throw away a binky or something, sometimes make a big ceremony out of it and a rite of passage. Do you know what I mean? So in their minds, they're organized and it's a full-on goodbye. So instead of wondering someone takes things away from me and it's a part of me and now it's ripped away. It's silly for an adult, but it's a big deal for the child. See what I mean?
Mm.
Okay. So sometimes parents take big trips and they don't explain to their children. They think they've explained it, but they don't do a good job sometimes. And I muscle test friends and like, yeah, I think that was when my dad left for 3 months or 3 weeks or whatever. And, she's like, and I just felt lost and I missed him and everything. So I think that was part of one of my traumas because I didn't know where my dad was. And so when my friend, she brought that up, I thought, it's important for us to really teach the children. They don't understand what they don't see. Like they don't understand days and weeks and months and stuff. So what I did when I did Diamond Club, I made little paper chains and, I counted how many days I'll be away and I made that many chains. And I said they can tear one of the chains away and then rip it out and they'll see how many chains are left to the day that I come back. So then they're conscious of, the change of time. Okay, can you see that? So sometimes when it's that way, then they know, hey, this is when this is going to happen. I can see it with my eyes because they're all about what they can see, actually. When they got older, I had a calendar and they can cross out the dates. Okay, so stuff like that to help with object permanence. Like I said, if we don't do that, sometimes it creates some insecurity. And that insecurity sets a tone for the rest of their life. So when you don't get something, maybe I don't deserve it, I'm never going to get that. And they have to learn to have that spiritual vision of imagining things so that they can manifest those things. If they can't see it in their eyes, in their mind's eyes, they can't manifest it. Okay, so it's an important thing. Okay, you guys are quiet too. I don't want to say anything. Alrighty, but did that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so the other thing too is very interesting because when we're young children and if we have adults that did things to us or around us that we don't like, we make a conscious decision sometimes to do the opposite. You're not going to be like that. I'm not going to be like that. So my dad's dad, grandpa, his was a spanker, right? And Dad said, I am never going to spank my kids. So he went all the way to the other end where he let the kids go free rein, which is a good thing, but not when it's overindulging. So, see how we we do that sometimes. So some from neglectful parents to hovering parents, from self-denial to overindulgence to, too strict all the way to relaxed, too relaxed and unstructured. So what happens is when we're on the other extreme, it's almost as bad. So in the universe, you will be reminded to balance. So the oils that come up for you will help you. And so sometimes people argue with me. They're like, oh, I'm so not like that. That's my parents. That was my mom. And that maybe you've taken a virtue and taken it too far to a vice now. So that's another thing that we do with childhood regression. We kind of balance things up a little bit. All right. So I will skip a few of these. Okay. Right. Okay, so I want you to look at this one here. So when some of these things come up, this is when I know that we need to do childhood regression for people. Okay, like I said, there's going to be a lot more detail in the course, but I just want to help people understand that there's solutions for us. Okay, we don't have to be suffering. Okay, so when I muscle test and ask, do we need to do childhood regression, of course, and if it says yes, we do it. We go to the person's personal timeline. So like I said earlier, you can say prior to conception, conception to birth, birth to 10. All right, or with my iToby scanner, if A to Z comes up, IQ Mega, PBS Cis Junior, Ylang Ylang, Geranium, Rose, White Fir, Douglas Fir, Myrrh, Frankincense, Kumquat, those are red flags for me. Okay, and I automatically go and muscle test. Okay, so I'll explain to you, maybe you can have a go. Why do you think A to Z is a red flag for me?
It's made for children.
Yep, exactly. It's made for children. And what is it about?
Proper nutrition and care.
Yes, care, right? And one thing that we need to be nourished in is love, right? Love and attention. So when we come up with that, sometimes there's a period in our childhood that we didn't get that nourishment. And the nourishment is about loving nourishment, attention nourishment. Okay, and sometimes parents don't realize, and we can't blame them, okay? But that's how we perceive the world. Okay, so I'll ask right away, do we need to do childhood regression for this person, for this particular thing? So if they don't feel loved and cared for, their physical body won't absorb nutrients. Or it won't absorb nutrients as well as it should, that's all. And don't you find that funny in the world today? Sometimes people say, I'm deficient in this vitamin, this mineral, this whatever. And sometimes they give themselves all that, but their body still refuses to absorb it. And sometimes when we resolve it, their body is able to absorb it now. Really cool, huh?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, IQ Mega.
So that's like the fish oil, and it's also like the omega oils from plants, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's about like brain health.
Yep. That's right. Pardon?
Would it be to do with learning, maybe?
Yep, it could be for learning. So you can muscle test and say, is it for learning? Is it about learning? Is it about cushioning and assisting? Because omega oil is the grease for your brains. It's grease for your joints. It's cushioning. It's helping things go smoothly. Okay. So if that comes up for the child, then right away we think, ooh, was there not enough support or ease in things? How about PBS Cis Junior?
Unable to digest life or things that are happening to them, or to be responsible.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's about digestion. Excuse me. But probiotics are friends. They're our friends. And we need to learn to collaborate with friends. We need to work with friends. So it's about trusting and teamwork. Okay, sometimes people are loners because they didn't work well with friends and they just left it at that. Okay, so probiotics reminds us that we can love and trust and feel safe. Yeah. Does it make sense now, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Ylang ylang is the oil of the inner child. So usually, along with other things from the emotion book, usually that means to me that that person has been an adult too early, you know, or taken some adult responsibility too early. And the resolution is to go back to that time and release that child from that responsibility. So as an adult, we don't know how to relax, okay? And you don't know why you can't relax. And sometimes you just need to go back to the original time that you felt like you needed to be the adult. So nobody was there for my mum to lean on. So she had to lean on me, and I was a 2-year-old. And she told me all her fears and everything. And of course, I felt like I needed to back up and be the kid, the adult with her. And sometimes I mothered her. So, Mom, you're okay. We're going to go see Dad. It'll be fine. You're safe. And she needed that. And she said she needed that. But I wasn't the kid that was able to run around and be carefree. So I had to watch out for her. So when I had to go back in time and tell myself, you're okay today. Mum's safe. Your brother's safe. Go play. And as soon as I said that to myself, I just broke down and cried. And it was crazy because I'm like, I didn't realize that, you know, is that something I needed? But because Ylang Ylang came up and, you know, that child came up, I thought, okay, she just probably need some rest. Because in your mind, you're still holding on all this time. You just set the tone. Okay. So like I said, you know, if parents divorce or something happened and you just had to be sensible, you got a new sibling into the family and now you're a big brother or big sister. And I hear people, I don't know about in the States, I think in the States too, they'll tell boys, they'll say, you take care of Mom, okay? And the kid's like 5. Have you heard of that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes the kid goes, okay. And then in their minds, they're like, what do? Okay. And it's silly, but sometimes as a child we think, oh, a bit of a step up. Even if we weren't, you know, doing it right, in our minds we're thinking we've taken on that role. Okay. We talked about geranium earlier. So want to tell me what geranium means and how to resolve that child?
Trusting yourself,
Trusting.
loving oneself.
Mm-hmm. So maybe that child within, something happened and they didn't trust anymore. They got disappointed, right? So guys, you know that if the oils smell yucky, something that you need, right, that you have a hard time resolving. If it smells nice, it's yummy, you need it and you can use it now, right? But there's another third thing. It's if the oils, you can't sense it, like you can't smell it. That means you're unaware. You're unaware that you even have that problem. Okay? So how about rose?
That would be unconditional love, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm. That'll be divine love, like the
Yeah.
universe, divine love. Okay, so one guy, I had him smell my rose, and he's like, not really strong, is it? I can't really smell it. And his wife was sitting next to him, and she's like, I can smell it from here. What are you talking about? It's so strong. It's so yummy. And he's like, no, can't smell it. And so, you know, red flag. So I went back and I said, okay, let's find out the time. And it was maybe 11 years old when he was little. And I said something about 11 years old, maybe blessing, love, something. And it took him a while, but he found it. It was him working really hard for his father. His father promised him a bike, and he never delivered. He never delivered that bike. And so here he is as an old man, right? He said all his life he worked hard, but he never felt like God really, really, really blessed him. You see the correlation? Right? So that rose, that divine love. So we resolved it for that 11-year-old boy. We gave him a nice bike in his head, in his mind. He rode it, he enjoyed it, right? And then he's like, I smell the rose now. Yes, and I'm like, yay. And that lady, she came back to me and she's like, I have a new husband, Jade. He's been so soft and tender to me. And I'm all, good for you. She's like, it's amazing. It's so nice. You know, before he was, you know, a tough guy, but he didn't have to be a tough guy anymore. And because now he can smell the roses. So it was kind of fun to kind of see
Rose,
that.
it's funny, rose and geranium are very much the same for me. Like, I don't like rose.
Oh.
Yeah.
I can sense what it is now for you. We'll talk about it in a minute when we have some time. White fur is about generational change. So something in your parents' patterns, generational patterns that should change. Douglas fir is a new fir oil. It's a new tree, and you know, it's about creating new patterns, brand new patterns. So you don't have to perpetuate culture that has been in your family for a long time.
So white fur clearing the old patterns, and Douglas fir is setting new ones.
Yes.
Sort of thing.
Yeah. Yep. Creating new ones. Right. Myrrh is about mother energy, so clearing stuff about mother. Frankincense is about father. Kumquat. Take a wild guess what that helps you with.
Bitterness.
Bitterness. It's actually a sweet.
Pungent.
Yeah. It's about being small. Feeling small all the time. Feeling insignificant. And allowing yourself to have greater influence. Even though you're small, your little, you know, drop in the pond, it ripples. That influence continues to ripple and influence the world. So allowing your influence to be big. That's kumquat. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
I've never tried kumquat, I don't think, so.
It's lovely. We have several people that just really love it. Yeah. Okay. So just a few more slides, guys. So when we do the childhood regression, we go back to that child and acknowledge. So we hear him out, hear her out, everything. All the feelings and the emotions and the thoughts, hear them out until they're all good and relieved. And then the next step is to address it. So that child needs to escape, or go somewhere, do something fun. We do that. So we do that in our minds. And sometimes physically you want to do that too. Okay? And then the last step. Oh, any questions so far? Sorry, I've just been plowing forward.
Good.
Okay. The next step is appreciate. This is a very important step. You're not complete until you've appreciated it, because there is a perfection in everything. Things happen for a reason. So I'll tell you about Christina Noble, because it's very important that you understand, even if it's the most awful thing that's happened, that you can still see the silver lining. Do you guys know Christina Noble?
No.
She's an Irish woman. She has a Christina Noble Foundation in Vietnam and in Mongolia. And it's about helping homeless children, but she does it completely different to other people. So when she was little in Ireland, her mum died early, and so her dad was sad and became an alcoholic, and so he wasn't able to take care of his children well. So the authorities took the children away, put them in foster care and in orphans. So when they were in orphans, she tried to escape the orphanage because it was a horrible place. When she was able to escape, she lived in the parks, on the streets, and of course bad things happened. So she was getting raped, and eventually she was pregnant. She birthed her first child, and long story short, she suffered a great deal all her life. And so later on in her life, when things were quieter and she felt like it was calm, she had a nightmare or a dream, both a dream and a nightmare. And in it, she saw a country and children and kids on the streets. And she didn't understand the dream, but it was very vivid. And the next day she was watching TV and she saw a documentary or something on Vietnam. And she was like, wait a sec, that was in my dreams. And, she was shaken up a lot because it was so, it was connected. And then so she decided she wants to take a trip just to find out what's all this about. So she went to Vietnam and she spent a week there. And she didn't know why she was there. And she got a bit frustrated because she's like, I don't get this. I'm crazy, a crazy woman. And on the last day, she was looking outside the Rex Hotel onto the streets, and she saw some children across the road digging in the dirt. And she was like, oh, kids playing in the dirt. And then she looked up above them, and there was a neon sign, and it connected. She said that is the exact scene that she saw in her dreams. And she just felt so overwhelmed by that feeling. So she went downstairs and went across the street to see the kids. And then she saw the kids. They weren't playing. There were kids on the street. They were digging for food, right? Digging for insects and stuff. And so she took them under her arms and tucked them under her dress and brought them up to her hotel room. She, washed them and, gave them food and everything. And then she knew why she was there. So she went back home and organized her finances, and then she moved to Vietnam. She created the Christina Noble Foundation for kids that are homeless. So it was amazing because she said she'll go to them, she'll talk to them, and here's this Irish woman that's, big and loud, and she'll say, this is where I am. You come when you're ready. So she gave them respect. Right? And she loved them. And when they came, they became her children. And she gave them all the love that she needed when she was a child. Even when she gave them something, she would wrap it up. So it was like a little can of condensed milk. She would wrap it up and they will open it, right? And even if it was for anything, she would make a big fuss over it. And she gave them the love and the attention. So they called her Mama Tina. And even to this day, when they've married and grown up, their children still call her Mama Tina, Grandma Tina. And because she was so successful at giving them skills and love, she opened another center in Mongolia with the same kind of philosophy. But I'm telling you this because she appreciated her trials and her heartache. It helped her love like nobody else can. So maybe you might feel like, I went through hell and back. What's good about that? Right? Big deal. Something about that experience is good for you. And you take that and you turn around and you complete your healing as you heal people. Okay? So that was a powerful lesson for me years and years ago. And I used that, helping people, because sometimes you don't know why it happened. You can be bitter, or you can move forward and use that as a power source for you to do good in the world. So appreciate. And now when I look back at all the traumas, I really appreciate it because it helped me get people. It helped me love people, you see. That's a powerful way of healing. No longer do you feel any bitterness. No longer do you feel any regret or pain. You just feel that appreciation because you allow the power of God to heal you. And now that you're healed and cleansed, you have a big lesson, a big wisdom that you can carry with you, right? Okay, guys. Any questions or comments?
No. It's interesting though too that on the emotional level it can be very really devastating, but the spiritual level isn't the emotional level as such. So it's the spiritual level is more the silver lining sort of thing. Because I know someone who's just passed away, and on the emotional level it's absolutely horrific what happened. But on a higher level, it's meant to happen because it helps everyone around them grow. And it's like with people who start up foundations, like you were saying, like they wouldn't have started those foundations and helped other people if they didn't go through that trauma and abuse. So, and God doesn't put you through things that you know you can't, that He knows you can't handle. So, yeah, things do happen for a reason, and although in the moment it seems it is awful and there's no way detracting from its the emotional impact, but on a high level you have to appreciate the lessons that you learn because they really do help the world.
Your purpose, Austin. That's
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for your comments. That's right. So guys, just 2 more slides here. Honor your parents. You know, sometimes we hear people talk about how horrible their parents are. They're no good people. But sometimes we're victims of victims of victims. And if you're to see your parents as a child, you'd feel so much love for them. So you do your best to heal and resolve. And then, you know, when you do this, you actually heal for them too. So it's a powerful thing you can do that for them without necessarily having to be there for them, or as in with them, okay, or make them do the healing. So
it's like Louise Hay says, you know, Louise Hay says, like your parents are just doing the best they know how.
Yeah.
You know, they're not bad people, or they may have messed up here or there, but they're just doing the best they know how.
Yeah, and we've chosen our parents, and it's a set of lessons for us to learn. So I feel this is a very important thing to do. Okay. And, you know, if they've rebuked you and they didn't praise you when you were little, then you learn to praise yourself. And then you change it for your children and generations to come. Okay. Anyone want to make a comment or say anything about that? Okay. Alrighty, this is a funny thing to end with, but rites of passage and celebrations. Okay, so, you know, I'm a crazy elementary school teacher, and I do silly things, but this is one of the best things that I came across. I did this with my daughter. So we were trying to potty train her, and we offered candy, and nothing happened. And one day I thought,
money?
No money, no, nothing. So one day a very intelligent idea came into my mind, and I made a certificate, I'm potty trained certificate, made it real pretty, looked like a pair of underwear. And I said, Emily, this is way back when she was 2, if you can be dry for 1 whole week, that means you don't pee in your pants or in the bed, you will get this certificate. So we marked that. And so every day she did it. And I tried to sneak a diaper under her at nighttime sometimes, because here I am thinking, oh, I don't know right? Not trusting her, right? Even in her sleep, she would, push it away and fight me. And I thought, wow, how did she know I was there? She was sound asleep. So anyways, we had that on the fridge for her to look at every single day. And she looked at it and she focused. And at the end of the week, we made a big fuss and we shook her hands and we gave her that certificate, and she was so proud of herself. And so that was a rite of passage in her mind. She organized her thought and decided, this is when I'm a big girl, okay, when I don't pee my pants. And, she's never had an accident even after that. And I thought, that's a really clever thing that, came to my mind. So I did it for my twins too later on. But what I'm saying is sometimes things happen in our lives, whether we lost a toy or pet or whatever, we need to make a little bit of a rite of passage. And if it's a good thing, we need to make a celebration to organize our minds and put things and for closure.
It's like punctuation.
Right? Punctuate things. So if we say, hey, we haven't celebrated this thing, we do it. At the beginning of school year, we celebrate. We celebrate the first day of school. We celebrate whatever it is that we need to celebrate, just so the mind can have this clarity and I guess, time. Okay, time passing. Yeah, so anyways, I want to help the children with the childhood so that we have less problems when we get older. They don't have to do so much childhood regression. Yeah. All right, so that's all I have to say. And so I could see if Mr. Austin wants to work a little bit. Can we do that?
Yep.
Anyone want to say anything, add anything before we continue?
Jade, this has been really amazing. Thank you for sharing the information.
Thank you, Debbie. Okay. All right, Austin, are you okay with us recording this, or do you want us to not record this part?
No, you can record it.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, I'm going to say a quick prayer in my heart. Okay. So muscle testing, connecting to Austin. I'll ask, do we need to do childhood regression for Austin? Strong for yes. And we'll find the time. So we'll say prior to conception, conception to birth, birth to 10. Okay, 10 to 20, 10, 11, 10, 11, and 12. 12. So when 12 comes up, it means 11-ish, 12, 12-ish, 13. Okay? So, Austin, what happened at that time?
That would probably be roughly the time that my Nana passed.
Okay. Oh, that's right. You said that right earlier. So about 12, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that time 12. Okay, so Austin, if you could close your eyes. Do you have a pillow there?
Yeah.
Can you hold that pillow in your arms? Okay. I need you to find the 12-year-old Austin in your mind. Do you see him?
Yeah.
What is he feeling?
Pain and confusion.
Okay. He's confused. What else?
Really quite angry, actually.
Okay. He's confused and angry. Can you help me type? Okay. What else?
It's kind of like there's nothing, like numb, I guess.
Uh-huh. So
Numb, just closed off, withdrawn.
So why isn't he sharing his emotions?
Because he's not emotionally capable of doing that with those present.
So he doesn't feel safe. He doesn't feel safe to cry and to be angry and you know, let his emotions out.
He can, but he's only doing it in his own space.
Okay.
Because he doesn't want others to worry.
Ah, okay. So can you tell him that he's allowed to be angry, he's allowed to be confused, and he's allowed to tell you all those things? It's just you and him now, Austin. Just the two of you. And tell him that he can let it out. He doesn't have to be in control all the time. How's he feeling now, Austin?
A lot more relieved. Like, it's kind of like there's a pressure that's just easing.
Mm-hmm. Where is he feeling that pressure?
In the heart area and the throat.
So can you put your arms around him? So does he need to cry?
Yeah, he's crying.
Can you tell him to share with you some more about why he's angry?
Because he blames himself.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think it's his fault? Why does he think it's his fault?
Because he believed that he had the ability to not. No, to help her get over her sickness.
Yeah. He felt responsible, didn't he? He could have done something, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Does he have anything else he wants to share?
He feels regret too for not being able to tell her the things he wanted to.
So the next step is we're going to address it with him. Okay. So Austin, you're not alone. Your grandma's there with you. Okay. Can you tell the 12-year-old Austin that grandma's here with him as well? And we're going to have him tell her exactly what he wanted to say. Do you want to say it out?
Out loud.
Yeah, if you feel comfortable. You're safe, Austin.
Nana, I love you beyond anything, and I'm sorry that I didn't get to reinforce that as much as I wanted to. I know you were always emotionally there for me, and I felt quite naive and not respecting that, but not acknowledging. You were there for me when I wasn't able to talk to my parents about things. No, I never told you, but you knew already. You gave me the self-love that I never gave myself. And then now that you're sick and not able to get better, I don't know what to do. And I just wanted to say thank you.
Good, very good. And I'm gonna have you talk to the Austin and tell him that you forgive him for not being able to help. I forgive myself.
I forgive myself for not being able to help him in his time of need and not allowing him the space to do what he had to.
You forgive yourself for not being able to help Grandma.
Yeah, I forgive myself for not being able to help her in the way that I thought I could.
As an adult now, right, you can tell Austin that Grandma's in a good place and she's happy and she's always visiting.
Her massive wings are always around us.
Mm-hmm. And she's busy doing her thing too. So it's not forever, is it?
No.
So Austin, what did you learn from this? How can you appreciate this situation?
That I need to just trust myself a lot more and just allow the feeling to flow, because I tend to block it.
Yep.
And then I blame myself for it, and I end up closing my heart, and because I don't speak what I want to and I don't trust myself, my throat closes.
But what happened when you do that in the past? What happened when you didn't allow yourself to fully open up and help Grandma?
I just
You regret it, didn't you?
yes.
So from now on, you've learned to open your heart and say what you need to say at the time that you needed to say it, right?
Yeah, the confidence to do so.
Yeah.
The strength. Yeah.
You've learned that painful lesson with your grandma, right? And you're never going to do that again. So when somebody needs your love, right, you're going to be there. You're going to say what you need to say. And it's going to come across well because you have good intentions. You're never going to be taken wrong. So there's no fear there, right?
No.
So do you feel gratitude for this situation, the lesson that Grandma and you have learned?
Absolutely.
So you'll probably find more things to be grateful for as you think about this situation and ponder it.
Yeah.
But to end, will you please smell that geranium oil?
I actually can smell the sweetness now.
Yay! It's sweet now, huh?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, wow.
Yay! So for 2 weeks, we're going to use it and remind ourselves the lesson, right? You're going to rub it on your heart and remind yourself, I'm going to speak when I need to speak. I'm going to act when my heart says to act. Okay?
Yes.
Never hold back.
don't doubt yourself, or you're great, or you're great.
If your heart is pure,
Yeah.
when you speak and do whatever it is, even if you say it in a wrong way, your words don't come out right, but because your heart is so pure, it's going to be taken right.
Yeah.
You've seen people that speak broken English, but they try to tell you something, and you get it. You get them anyways, even if you don't speak the same language. It's going to be the same. You're just going to open that heart and share that heart and just do what you need to do, because you're doing it in the name of love. Okay, and there's no fear. You like the smell, huh?
Yes, I don't. It's not. There's no pulling away because it's gross.
Yay!
Yeah, I'll smell that.
Yay!
I need to do 3 weeks worth of. Was it 3 weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Sorry, 2 weeks.
Yep. 2 weeks, and just to remind yourself all those good things.
Yes.
Yay! Congratulations.
Thank you, Jade.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the space and for helping.
You're welcome. All right, you're awesome. Thank you for volunteering, Austin. So I hope everybody can see
It's
how
interesting. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Because when I was younger, I was actually quite confident and outgoing, and just would do basically whatever. Still reserved, but not. Then once that happened with Nana, everything just collapsed. You know, I became really withdrawn, and I missed out on those few years of just understanding myself too. It was the rejection of self too, that she was able to love me unconditionally and wholefully, without rejecting me in any way. And so when I didn't have that, because I didn't have that in myself, and when she was gone, I felt lost and confused, and so I just went looking to try and find it, and I eventually did find it, and everything's worked out a lot more, but there's still the residue that we've resolved a little bit more of today. So thank you.
You're welcome. I hope everybody see how easy it is to do your childhood regression. It's good to do it with someone that you love and trust, and you can hold your pillow and talk, and then smell the oils that you need to smell, and then talk it through until you get to the point where you're grateful for the situation that you were in. Okay, awesome. All right, everyone, thank you for joining us. We'll end our recording now. Okay, and I look forward to talking to you next time.